And welcome back to Chair 4 Stories, everybody. I'm Chris Allen. Hope everybody's doing well. If you're liking the series, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. And with that out the way, let me get into tech school. Let me apologize. I recorded a tech school episode, but I have so many videos and shit on my phone. I accidentally deleted it and uploaded the old video. I'm an old man. I'm doing old people shit. So my bad for posting the same one twice and didn't even realize it until this morning. So that's down, and this is all about tech school. I know I did a tech school episode, but fuck it, it's gone. It is what it is, and this is the tech school episode. So after I finished basic training, I'm assigned to Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi, to go to ground radar maintenance specialist. I don't remember the whole long ass name, but it was ground radar systems apprentice. There it is. Ground radar systems apprentice school, where it was going to be, I want to say about 9 or 10 months. Everybody said, make sure you pick a tech school that's long. That means you're learning a lot and it'll be a skill that will translate into the outside world. So there are a lot of jobs in the military. There's quite a few that just, there's not a civilian equivalent. So you're kind of pigeonholing yourself into doing uh, that solely for the military. And there are opportunities after you get out to be a contractor or whatever, but you don't know this kind of shit when you're 18 years old. You don't. And things have changed in the last 25 years. All right, so I finished up basic training and I get to Biloxi, Mississippi. To be honest, I have no idea how I got there. I can't remember. That's pretty scary. I don't remember how I got my body from Texas to Mississippi. But we get there, and to be fully transparent, I'm terrified. I don't know shit about the South. My parents are from Florida. My mom is from Florida. My dad's from Alabama. Been to Florida a couple of times, and I don't know anything about Mississippi other than, yes, Mississippi burning. I'm terrified. I'm so scared. My friends are like, "Yo, you gonna get lynched? It's Mississippi. They burning crosses, and it's the late 90s. It's not like that. But like I said, I don't know shit about Mississippi, and I should ask my parents how they felt about that. Them being from the South, the Jim Crow South, hearing that their firstborn son is going to Biloxi, Mississippi. It's got to be a little unnerving and a little scary being from down there and having your son go live in Mississippi. Yeah, I had to ask my mom. So tech school. I can really only speak for Air Force Tech School, and even then, just for that time, I have no idea what that shit is like now. So when I got to tech school, Keesler Air Force Base, probably every AATC base had a 5-phase program. So when you get out of basic training and get to tech school, you just don't have full rights and privileges as a what they call a permanent party member. You still have to like adhere to extra rules because you're in school. You're in tech school, and we're all still very new to the military, to the Air Force, to this lifestyle. So you're not just going to go to basic training for 6 weeks and then they just release you to your own devices in tech school. It's still very structured. So the 5-phase program is when you first get there, phase one, you're wearing your uniform every day. You have to go to all the formations, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're checking in, and I want to say your curfew at the time might have been like, uh, it might have been 9 or 10. Can't remember. But the big thing is you have to wear your uniform all the time and you cannot leave the base at all. Can't leave the base at all. And you have to wear your uniform at all times. Um, I don't even think, yeah, you never really saw people walk around in PT gear because that would have been, because that PT gear was just for PT. So that's the first 2 weeks. You can't leave base, wearing your uniform all the time, going to all the formations. Phase two, you can leave base. This is after 2 weeks. You can leave base, but you have to wear your blues when you leave base. So that's huge. You get to wear a different uniform and you get to go off base. So typically after the 2 weeks, you wake up that Saturday, you put your blues on, you take the bus down to Edgewater Mall, which I don't even know if it's still around. You walk around that shitty mall and you just buy clothes that you can't wear yet. I remember I bought this is back when everybody's wearing like velour suits and shit. I bought a Nautica velour sweatsuit in Biloxi, Mississippi in the summertime because I just wanted one so bad. So yeah, first 2 weeks, I mean, yeah, phase two, after 2 weeks, you can go off base, you gotta wear blues. Phase three, after being there for a month, you can wear civilian clothes. After school, you can go off base and you can wear your civilian clothes off base. And curfew, midnight. Phase four. Uh Phase four is weird. I think with um phase four, I think you could stay off base for the weekend. I think that was a big thing. And you didn't have to go to the formations. And phase five, which most people didn't reach because most people's tech school wasn't 6 months, but after 6 months, you were basically a permanent party member, and all we really had to do was we still had to march with everybody to school, back and forth to school, but the only thing we had to do was just be there for formations to go to and from school. Now, if there was like a commander's call or they had some other shit going on, you had to do that as well. But that was the most independent phase where you basically you got up, you did all your morning duties, you came down to the formation, marshal school, and once you were out, that was pretty much it. So I'm pretty sure it has changed several times. I'm sure it's nothing like that anymore. But that was basically the phase program when I was in tech school. There's a little bit more to it, but some of the stuff really doesn't matter. It's all about formations and what you have to go to and all that type of shit. So the rooms at the time, it was two people to a room. I had one side. My first roommate was this dude named Fleischman. It was cool. He was from Oklahoma, and we lived in the east wing of the 338 Dark Nights. 338 Dark Nights. 338 Dark Nights. So you would learn all the Jodies over your time there. Yeah, I would sing them on the way to school. So yeah, me and Fleshman, we lived in E1C, East Wing, first floor, corridor C. I want to say like the second door on the right. Uh, I didn't like that hallway because every morning before we left, everyone had to buff their floors. And while we were gone, the MTLs, the military training leaders, they're no longer TIs. They call them military training leaders or blue ropes. That's how you knew who they were, other than the fact that they were NCOs and officers. They wore blue ropes to let you know, like, hey, we're kind of in charge around over here. Um, they would come inspect your dorms, your individual rooms, and your hallway and your bathroom. And sometimes they would give out awards like, hey, this they had the best, they had the cleanest day room, or they had the best shine on the floor. And sometimes they would give you little pizza parties and stuff like that. But at that time, you're just looking for any type of validation and positive reinforcement. Um, so a typical day is we would get up, we would meet for a PT formation, we would do calisthenics, we would march over to one of the side access roads. They would shut it all down. That side of the base was all for tech school students anyway, so you didn't see a lot of like just permanent party driving through there. They call it the Triangle. That area of the base was called the Triangle, and I'm pretty sure it was probably off limits for people who were actually stationed at Keesler Air Force Base. Because as a permanent party member, you are not allowed to fraternize with students. So if you were say you were a two striper and you're stationed at Keesler Air Force Base, you're working at the MPF finance or whatever, and you see another young lady who you think is fine as hell, and you want to talk to her, and you hear that she's in tech school, y'all the same age, I got the same rank, you are not allowed to talk to her because she is a student status. So some people will get in trouble with that. Um, so a typical day, get up, yeah, PT, come back, everybody would shower, change, get your uniform ready, and do your morning duties. So there were people who had to clean the bathrooms, clean your own room, make sure the day room was good, make your bed, make sure your 341's out, just dust everything. Everything in your room is where it's supposed to be, shoes up, locker locked, all that kind of stuff. And then you would buff your floor. You had to buff the floor every morning. It was nothing like seeing those lines going back and forth. A little sign of pride. That was my job. I got pretty good at it. That buffer is not easy to use when you first Use it if you've never used one before. It's always funny just watching some kid have the buffer just take him around. But once you learn how to use it, man, it was actually pretty fun and satisfying. So we would clean up our dorms, head out back to the pad. The MTLs would come out, kind of give you a briefing on what's going on for the day, and everybody would march off to their respective halls or schools, if you want to call them that, schools or halls. My first tech school or hall was Jones Hall, and that's where we learned all the basic electronics. So we learn how to read schematics and what a resistor is, what transistors are, what radar is, and just all that kind of basic stuff. And we're all everybody in that dorm was kind of doing some type of like comm job, some type of electronics job. There were radar guys there. There were some radio guys there. I can't remember if there were any. I think there were some avionics guys there. Avionics is a great job in the military. That's where you're fixing all the electronics on the actual fighter aircraft. You got to be pretty smart to get that job. So if anybody's ever interested in going to the military, Air Force, if they have an avionics job you like, electronics, from what I hear from my friends, avionics is the way to go. And some security people. So we're all kind of doing the same type of job in the same field, but not it's different equipment. Same type of like this electronic equipment, but they all do different things. Like I said, radio, radar, avionics, surveillance system, stuff like that. So flashmen, man. And here's the thing. You can have a guaranteed job in the military, but you still have to get through the tech school. And people wash out. People make it it's broken up by blocks. Jones Hall was like 15 blocks, and one block would be resistors, another one would be schematics, another one would be we're doing math in this one, another one would be whatever. So some were really easy, some might be 1 or 2 days, some were like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Some there were the infamous blocks were like, yo, even if you're killing it on in all the other blocks, this is the one block that's going to kill your grade average or your GPA. Just like any other school where it's just like, yo, I'm taking, Calc 3 next year, and everybody sucks at that, and everybody who had an A ends up with a B type shit. So they were definitely the infamous blocks, and they had certain practicals and tests that people were afraid of, and they talked up that, people were kind of like, oh man, Jones Hall block 10 is hard. So and so got hundreds on everything. He got to that class and got a 76. So stuff like that. But I really enjoyed it. It wasn't that hard. Because to be honest, let me tell you this shit. In the military, a lot of times they're not really teaching you to comprehend anything. They're teaching you to be able to regurgitate and pass a test. So when you get to your first duty location, they will teach you all the other stuff. That's where you will get your comprehension. So like once you kind of figure that out and you don't dig too deep, because to be real, a lot of the instructors, they didn't know too much, if I'm being honest. So, and some of these guys didn't work on the piece of equipment that they're teaching. So it's weird. People think the military, we get the best of the best of the best. That's not always the case. It's not always the case. But yeah, so we went to school. There were 3 different shifts. You had a morning shift. I don't remember the hours, but some people went to school from like 6 to 2. Then you had a swing shift. Some people went to school from like 2 to 10. And then you had was there a no, just 2 shifts. I'm sorry. A day shift and a late shift. Sorry. Yeah, because I was on T shift after a while. That's when you went to school at night. You went from like I want to say it was from like 4 to midnight or something like that. So yeah, wasn't a bad shift because most people were gone at that time. Nobody really fuck with you, so that was fun. But yeah, on a day-to-day basis, you would go to class, you would break for lunch, march to the chow hall, eat your lunch, march back to school, finish out the day, march back to the triangle to your squadron. You would meet the MTLs. They would let you know if there was anything going on for the evening, if there were any formations, anything, any visitors, or just just if anything had transpired that day, just to let you know, hey, we're doing room inspections tomorrow. This happened. This person got in trouble. Don't do this shit. Just stuff like that. So, and once you were released from school for the day, depending on what phase you were done. If you were 4 and 5, you were 3, 4, and 5, you were done. But if there was a dinner time formation, you had to meet. You had to be there for that, and that's basically where you just met on the drill pad. They took roll call. You went into the lunchroom. You had to sign in. I mean, to the dining hall. You had to sign in and all that type of shit. They just want to keep accountability on the young people who had just got there, making sure nobody's running off and no shit like that. Because people get desperate, they do weird shit. They really do. And this is supposed to be a voluntary thing, but people kind of lose it in the military. So even early on. As far as weekends, weekends were your own, unless you got in trouble. Now, when I was in Keesler Air Force Base was one of the few bases that still had this. It was called correctional custody. So if you got caught smoking or drinking underage, they wouldn't send you to jail. They would send you to this place called correctional custody. And it's basically like jail. And you wear your uniform all day. It's like going back to basic training, but on steroids. You march everywhere. You're not allowed to talk. You get yelled at all the time. And when you would go to the chow hall, it was like basic training. You had to be nut to butt. You had to slide down the line. And in CC, you couldn't eat on the snack line. You had to eat on the main line. That's just like the chicken, the broccoli, the rice. You weren't getting hot dogs and burgers and all that type of shit. You had to eat from the main line. And they had to sit in a specific order, again, just like in basic training. You had to wait for everybody to get there, and they had to eat in squares. You just couldn't naturally eat. You had to be quiet, and you had to eat in squares. You had to drink in squares. So yeah, people would get sentenced to like a weekend, a week, 2 weeks, a month, just depending on what you did. And that was like, hey, get your shit together, do this again, we sending your ass home. So I never had to do CC or anything like that. And there were other various types of discipline, like you could fuck up and they would put you on some weird detail, weeds and seeds, where like everybody else is chilling on the weekend. You're cutting grass. You might be doing some type of security duty or something like that. But for the most part, you kept your nose clean. The weekends were yours. Yeah, so we would go to the mall. We would go out to eat. There was a little a small little BX on our side of the base. They had a small arcade in there. We would play games. I played a lot of Capcom versus Marvel when I was in tech school. And also, I forgot to mention this. Your dorm rooms. When you first get there, you're not allowed to decorate your room. You have to wait until you get to your phases. So once you hit phase 3, that's when you can personalize your room. You can have a TV in there. Could you? I don't think people did, but I want to say you could even have your own sheets and shit like that. You can just have your own comforter. You can put a computer, just whatever you wanted in there. But before that, it had to be all bare bones. You couldn't have anything personal, any personal items other than like pictures and like cosmetics and stuff like that. But you could not have any posters or anything out like that. It all had to be government issued stuff. So, and what's crazy is like you could also lose your phase at any time for fucking up, not getting back in time for curfew, any alcohol related stuff. Just you breaking the rules could send you back. And it could be a permanent thing, it could be a temporary thing, but people would lose their phases all the time. And there were times where like they were like phase 4, they fucked up, they got a computer, they got a TV, and they have no storage. They don't have anywhere to put this stuff. So sometimes people would have to switch the size of the room. That was their workaround. So they would go, like, say you had a roommate and they didn't personalize their room at all, they had nothing out. What they would do is switch the name cards, and then you would sleep on that side, and then the person who lost all their shit, they would sleep on the other person's side. So they got to keep all their stuff up. Now it just belongs to the other person. So yeah, that was a weird little little thing. I saw that happen a couple of times. But if you didn't have that, you had to take all that shit down and find somewhere to put your computer, your stereo, your video game system. You had to find somewhere to put all that shit because you only had one little wall locker. And if you had a lot of personal effects, you would have to find somewhere to put that because you weren't allowed to have it anymore. But there was a club on base, an airman's club. So we would go there on the weekends. You could drink if you were 21. I don't remember there being food or anything like that, but there. But yeah, so we would go there, drink. They had a DJ that would come in on the weekends, people dancing, partying. That's where how you meet your little chick. And this is where people get fucking married right off the bat. You meet somebody in tech school, you find out she's gonna be there for 6 weeks, you're gonna be there for 7 months, and they're getting married. I knew a dude named Lela got married, got a chick's name tattooed on his arm and everything, driving the car around. Motherfucker washed out of radar school and had to go somewhere else. So this dude just met a woman, got her name tattooed, and he's getting shipped out somewhere else. And this is the same guy when we first got there already had a girlfriend back home that just had a baby by somebody else that he was going to take care of. I mean, you saw so many of these weird situations. It's like, bro, this woman is literally a stripper. The baby's not yours. She's using you for your health care. I don't care. I love her. Just like you see it right off the bat, how people just put themselves in these awful, terrible positions, man. Awful. Or they just meet some chick out on the street at the mall. Now you're just marrying some chick from Biloxi, Mississippi. You're 19, you barely even know her, and you get her pregnant, and y'all moving to Travis Air Force Base. And you're knowing her for 2 months. Like, this is where all the bullshit starts. People just making their lives complicated. um, So as far as like the curfew and stuff like that, everybody's squadron had their own like charger quarters, and what you had to do is be in line at your CQ, and there were MTLs there who would check you in. So just make sure you're in line. As long as you were in line, and when midnight hit, you were good to go. But if you get caught out, there's no telling what could happen. You better have a good reason why you're not in your fucking line or back at your squadron when it's time for curfew. And everything shuts down over there. So like for you to really be late, you're just fucking off, because the Airmen's Club is not going to stay open because no one's there. It's shutting down. I think a lot of dudes got in trouble trying to walk their little chick back to their little squadron or whatever, and y'all sneak off to a little corner doing some shit, and you lose track of time. Because also no one's coming into your dorm room. Like if someone from another squadron came over, they're not even coming in your building. So if you had a little chick that was in the 335th, you could just walk over there and wait for her to come out, but you could not go in their dorm room at all. Everybody had their own little dorm security, and you had to have your squadron ID and your ID to get in. So if you let somebody in your dorm, you're fucked. You are completely fucked. Yeah, that would and see that, and this is where you learn too. Like if it became a thing, the entire triangle is going to get in trouble. Not just the squadron, everybody. We're talking hundreds of people is going to get in trouble. You learn that as well in tech school too, about blanket punishments. You definitely learn it in basic training. But you see how widespread that shit can be once you get to tech school, because all it takes is for a couple people to fuck up and every squadron is in trouble. Everybody is doing a GI party. Everybody is doing, beautifying the base, picking up trash because they caught a bunch of airmen, throwing paper on the ground. Now everybody is out there on that side of the base picking up trash because 8 people were, littering. So you learn that lesson as well too. I spoke about the MTLs, the military training leaders. There's so many people there that like they can't do it themselves. So what they do is they assign airmen leaders to kind of run things day to day. And they had green ropes. Those are the lowest level. Yellow ropes is the second one. Then you had a red rope. And the red rope is a person who would speak directly with the blue ropes. So they were typically like the most. They had been in the squadron the longest, kind of a kiss ass, and they. I can't lie. A lot of them had their shit together, just like in tech in basic training. Might have been the older person, a little bit more mature, to kind of keep everybody in line. And I got a smart mouth. My new roommate at the time, this dude named Patrick McQuillan, smart as fuck. This dude would sleep during class, and they could never stump him on anything. We would be going through these crazy schematics, and they would ask you, "Hey, which resistor does X, Y, and Z?" And this motherfucker would be asleep, and they would go, "McQuillan, wake up! Answer the question. What resistor?" He would go, "That one right there." I mean, this dude was just a fucking genius, and the shit just bored him. But anyway, so being McQuillan would always get it into it with the ropes, with the student airmen leaders. We hated them. They thought they were hot shit. They thought they were better than everybody. And it was like, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them. So McQuillan and I, we go to Airman Leadership School. We get our green ropes. And with that, one, people don't really fuck with you as much because you have a rope. People do come to you to help solve problems, and you got to march students to class and back to the dorms, and you just people just don't bother you because they just kind of see you as an extension of the MTL. So that was probably one of our best moves, was getting our ropes. And I personally, I enjoy marching flights to school, so that was fun. So yeah, we got our ropes. People hated the fact that we got ropes. We were slightly untouchable. We were dickheads, but they were like, God damn it, they're airmen leaders. We can't fuck with them. So it was kind of like being a made guy, but we really weren't fully invested. We just knew, like, if we got these ropes, people would leave us the fuck alone. So yeah, it was basically just like wash and repeat for like the next 9 months. I met a lot of cool people. This cat named Raposa. He was the first Hawaiian guy that I met, and that was my introduction to Hawaiians. And like every weekend, Raposa and all the other I say yeah, god damn it, I said Polynesians, every weekend they would barbecue, listen to the island music and shit like that, man. Coolest fucking people over ever. Like that was my introduction to Samoans and Pacific Islanders. And like, yo, if you've never kicked it with Pacific Islanders, cool as fuck. Just don't cross them because they will fuck you up, and they stick together. But when it comes to just having a good time, cracking beers, getting on that grill, chilling, listening to music, best people in the fucking world, man. So shout out to Raposa. I don't know whatever happened with him, if he ever stayed in for 20, but like Raposa, my roommate McQuillan was cool, man. I got some stories about him I can tell later. My first roommate, Fleshman, that I mentioned, he washed out after like 3 blocks. He ended up becoming a cop, and I actually ran into him later on when I went to NCO Academy. So that was interesting running into him later on. And yeah, it was just funny seeing how much he had grown. He was a cop, he thought he was hot shit, a lot more confident, kind of a dickhead because he was a cop. But that happened quite a few times throughout my career where I was in basic training or tech school with somebody, and you'd run into them in career at another base. You might be TDY somewhere and say, "Oh shit, man, what's up, man? How you doing?" Yeah. So while it's a big Air Force, it's a small Air Force. But I had a good time in tech school, man. I had my boys Cook and Thompson. Um, we would play video games after school on the weekends. Like I said, we would go to the club, we would go to the mall, hit the movies, just doing regular, kind of like college stuff. Yeah, man, we had a good time. Um, and yeah, and it just starts the process of you getting to know people, building these relationships with people, and then they're gone. And that just becomes like the theme of your entire life, where like you meet people, y'all connect, y'all bond, and then they're gone. And you see them again years later, and it's like you never even missed a day, you know? And that was hard to do at first, but you kind of get used to it. So yeah, that was my experience at Keesler. I mean, there's a bunch of other little stories, but just in a nutshell, that's what it was like. We had a good time. The food was good. Oh, that's one thing I'll mention before I get out of here. Each squadron had their own chow hall, man. And I remember our chow hall, we had a bunch of old black ladies. You would see them coming in the morning. They had their own knives and shit like that. And there is like an Air Force wide menu, like, hey, this is what every chow hall is serving today. But you can tell these women were like, okay, we doing the chicken, but we doing it our way. I mean, it's almost like we just had like home cooking in our squadron. So while some people hated the chow hall, I always took my ass to the chow hall because we had a whole slew of old black women in there doing their motherfucking thing. Yeah, I do miss that. Them free meals. Like when you in it, man, you like, I don't want to eat the chow hall. But looking back, man, god damn, free food every day. And good food, healthy food. It was great, man. So yeah, I met a lot of cool people in tech school. It was hot as shit. Was it a culture shock? Uh, Yeah, it was, but I also didn't spend a lot of time out on the economy in Biloxi, man. I spent a lot of time on base, hanging out with my friends, and just we played basketball every weekend. They had outdoor courts, indoor courts. So yeah, man, it was fun. It was my version of college for about 10 months. So not I would say probably a little bit more rigorous than your actual college experience for some people, as far as like rules and all that kind of stuff. But workload, I'm pretty sure college was just as tough. But yeah, just extra layers being in the military, and there were definitely numerous times that I can vividly remember running during PT. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm drenched in sweat. I don't. I'm like, why the fuck did I do this? Even in tech school, I'm like, man, what are my friends doing right now? They probably land up with some chick at UB or whatever school they at, and here I am running in a formation in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I'm sweating my ass off. But here I am, 45, retired. Uh, and I do have to thank young Chris for making that decision to join, man, because I go back and forth about my service, how I feel about it. Sometimes I'm embarrassed. I hate myself for it and all that kind of stuff. But looking back at the time, I knew I didn't want to go to school. And I made the best decision for myself at the time. And I really have to thank young Chris for realizing that, because things could have got bad. I knew I had to get out of there, and I knew I had to do something positive with my life. So, yeah, so that's the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Keesler Air Force Base, my tech school days. If I can, there are definitely more stories that I can tell. Um, yeah, I have fun. Maybe I'll start doing some more tech school stories. But in a nutshell, that was tech school at Keesler Air Force Base, the 338 Dark Nights. So, all right, see y'all next week. Please leave a comment, like if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. All right.